Hey game designers, in this video we're going to go over how to make Unity cutscenes using their prefab that was provided through the kit. So what we're going to have you guys do is download these 5 files. So let's go ahead and right click, and we're going to go ahead and open a new tab, right click, 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 open a new tab. And we're just going to go to each tab and go ahead and click on download. And the last one. Okay, we're going to open up Unity. For this particular project, I suggest that we use the sample scene. So if you guys go into the Creators Kit, Asset, Creators Kit, and then go down to Scenes, you should have the original sample scene. And what I recommend you do is go ahead and duplicate it. We're going to use Control D. And we're going to go ahead and rename this file. We're going to call it Cutscenes. Okay, and I'm just going to say comic cutscenes. And we're going to go ahead and double click on it to open up that scene. Okay, now that we have the scene open, we're going to need an NPC in order to use our cutscenes. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and move this NPC over here. So if you use your move tool, select him. We're going to move him over here. He has a quest called the Chicken Quest, and we're going to use that quest right here to set up our cutscene. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into our My Assets folder first. So I'm going to go into the My Assets folder, and we're going to make a new folder in here. We're going to right click, create folder, and we're just going to call the folder My Cutscene Files. Okay, we're going to double click into the folder, and we're going to go ahead and import all the stuff we just downloaded. So it's from here to here. If you hold Shift, you're able to select all the files, click Import, and all the files should import into our folder. And now we're going to go and find where to use these files. So let's kind of review the files real quickly. Here we have an MP3. Here we have a transition, which is just a blank 1000 by 1500 transition. We have a Dark Knight image, an Iron Man comic, and a Joker image. Okay, so we're going to find the prefab under the Creators Kit. We're going to go into the Cutscenes folder, and then there is a prefab folder that has an object called Cutscenes. So again, let's just keep the original cutscene. We're going to go ahead and duplicate it with Control D. We're going to rename our copy to organize our files here. I'm just going to call it My Batman Cutscene. And I'm actually going to move that prefab that we just created and move it into my folder so I know where everything is. So I'm going to left click and drag it into my cutscenes files. So going back to my folder here, I have all 5 things and the cutscene object. So before we play with the options here, let's just see what the default one looks like. So we're going to go back to our NPC here that has the Chicken Quest. And you'll see right in this area right here, there is an intro cutscene prefab and an outro cutscene prefab, meaning that we could drag the copy that we made directly into the intro. So I'm going to go ahead and drag it into here, and then I'm going to hit play and see if, and kind of see what this cutscene looks like. Okay, I am not seeing anything. I don't know if that's because the cutscene is too long or the camera's not working. Nope, it looks like we exit. So it does look like the cutscene is working. Let me go ahead and turn on the volume, but see if I can lower down the volume. Okay, so the cutscenes do work, but for whatever reason, they are not zoomed in correctly. Let's try it one more time just to see what the default cutscene looks like. Okay, it's making the sound. So it has another transition into another sound. Okay. Let me go do a quick check and see if our UI camera is doing all right. Sometimes when we change from our previous tutorials, when we added the universal render pipeline, we did do things like move the UI camera. So I'm going to go ahead and move the UI camera over right on top of our character here and actually drag the UI camera underneath our character. Now this, you only should do this if you're having a problem with your camera. It depends if you guys did the unirender pipeline exercise. Okay, I'm just going to make sure that the camera is in the right priority and that it's culling everything. That should give us our dialog boxes again. So again, a few things we need to change to make sure that our dialog box works. And now you also see now the words that show up in the cinematics. Okay, so now that we kind of got our camera right and our user interface back, let's go ahead and see actually how to create our own cutscene here. So first things first, we're going to go right here where it says the Batman cutscene, the copy that we made. The quest has the Batman cutscene. So whatever changes we do to this file right here will be reflected when we turn on the game. So how does this kind of thing work? You'll see the couple parameters at the top, how much to zoom, how much to fade in, how much to fade out, how much to crossfade, okay? What music you want to play, where you might want to pan. And then there's cutscene events that occur and why you see, these three scenes and the three sounds that it kept on making. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and click on the first one and we're gonna just use this subtraction sign and get rid of it. And we're gonna go back to the second one, we're gonna use subtraction sign and get rid of it. And we're gonna play with some of these numbers and kind of see how this thing works. So I'm gonna drag the first is my Batman quote and drag that as the image for the first cutscene event. I'm gonna use my transition, which is just black, a black canvas for the transition. And I'm gonna replace the background audio instead of Quest Complete to my Hans Zimmer, Why Do We Fall? Okay, I'm gonna increase this to about 5 seconds and leave everything else at 1 just to see what this looks like at this point. Okay, so some things I want you to notice. So there's these words here, and that's why that text shows up. So I'm just gonna change the text a little bit here. First, there was Batman, okay? And let's see some of these arguments. So I'll see the number of times how long the image stays on the screen. Now, a zoom of 1 means it does not change the size of the zoom. Let's go ahead and increase this to 2, okay? And pan is where it pans, what direction you want it to pan. But before you pan, I suggest that you control the zoom first, how much zoom you want on your camera, and then change to pan when you want to center it. So let's go and hit play and see how it changes. So you can see here that a zoom of 2 zooms outward. So like you would expect, if I go 0.75, which is less than 1, it's going to zoom inward. And it looks like we got that just about right in terms of where it was panning on the words. Okay, now let's try some of these other numbers. Let's do some crossfading. Let's go ahead and increase the crossfade to 2, or let's actually leave it at 1 second first. And let's go ahead and add in another cutscene event. So I'm gonna hit the plus scene, and I'm gonna go ahead and drag in the Joker quote here. And again, I'm gonna use the same black transition audio, and I'm not gonna pan anything yet until I figure out what I want with the zoom size. So now that we have 2 cutscene events, let's go ahead and see what it looks like. Okay, so you can see here that the zoom doesn't work for the purposes of that image. So I'm going to zoom actually outward a little bit, maybe 1.25, and I'm going to kind of zoom downwards. I think I'm going to use like negative 0.5 and see if I can center on the words. And now let's increase the crossfade. I know a pretty good idea what fade in and fade out does, but let's go ahead and try to do a crossfade and see if we can do like maybe 3 seconds of crossfade and see if how that changes the way our cutscene looks. All right, so now we see a little bit of crossfading between the two images. We get a fade out. So you can see that when the camera zooms in on Batman and it has to zoom out for Joker, it actually has to go. It doesn't just automatically reset from where the camera originally starts. So it actually goes from 0.75 to 1.25. So it takes time to go from here to here. Okay, and again, we can just zoom it out to 1 to the original image, make it move a little bit lower, and then I can just go, then the Joker showed up. Okay, and let's go ahead and just add another scene right here, and just we're going to use our last one here, the Iron Man comic. I'm going to drag it in, and we're going to try some fading here. We're going to fade a little bit closer. Let's try 0.5, and let's try, I don't know, positive 0.25, maybe 0.5. And sometimes, you want to zoom in on the words of your comic or whatever the main subject of your cutscene is. Batman needed help. Okay. And let's just see what this thing looks like. And there we go. So, you can play with the settings, and depending on what images you want, you can easily set up these really beautiful cutscenes. And just kind of covering what you can use it on, you can use it as the beginning of a quest, or you can use it as the ending of a quest. So there's 2 places you can drag your cutscenes. And once you make the cutscene, just go ahead and drag it into there. And that's it, folks. So as of this video, I'll see you guys next video.